welcome to Ruby and Beyond channel. This is the first episode, and we will do code walkthrough of Kamal. And in the end of this video, I will try to explain why I decided to start this channel, why I decided to record this video. But for now, let's dive straight into the codebase and explore it. Okay, now it's time to start the code walkthrough of the Kamal. And when I get a code base that I don't know anything about, I usually try to find code conventions. And of course, one of these conventions is the code structure and the naming of the folders and files inside the code base. So here in Kamal, everything is pretty standard to conventions that should follow every Ruby gem. We have lib folder where the main code is located. We have bin where are executables, and test folder where there are tests for the library. Besides this, there is also a gem files folder that includes 2 gem files that are used to test Kamal over different Ruby and Rails versions. Okay, what is next? The next, of course, is library.rb file, in our case Kamal.rb file that's located inside of a lib folder. And again, it follows the conventions from the Ruby gems, and by correct naming. And inside of this file, you can see that the main module Kamal is defined. And besides this, there is also a loader, Zaitwerk. And since Kamal follows all conventions for a standard Ruby gems, Zaitwerk can be used to load the code, to load the files of the library, and we don't need to use any require statements. Okay, cool. Now, but this file doesn't give us any idea of how Kamal is organized internally. We just see that we load some code and we define main module named Kamal. Where to find, and we don't know where to start observing the code base. Usually in all Ruby programs, it doesn't matter whether it's a Rails application or Ruby gem or a Ruby executable as Kamal, we can find some entry points. For a Rails application, such entry point would be a routing file. For a Ruby gem, it would be a README file, because from routing you can get controller structure, open one controller and try to find what models are used in application, try to find some domain level entities. From a README file of Ruby gem, you can find out how to use this library in your application, in your code. For Kamal, such entry point would be a bin Kamal file. Why? Because it's the only thing that an end user uses from this library. And here we see that it requires, of course, Kamal, and then it starts the main CLI class of Kamal. Okay, and this gives us an idea where to start observing of the code base. So okay, we can find main RB file, and you see it is inherited from Kamal CLI base. And by the way, it's located, again, following all code conventions, it is located inside of lib Kamal CLI folder, and it is inherited from Kamal CLI base. And Kamal CLI base is inherited from Thor, and Thor is a Ruby application Ruby CLI application framework or toolkit, it doesn't matter how to call it, and it can be used to create Ruby CLI applications easily. And if you will go to Thor GitHub wiki page, this is located in Rails organization, you can find a page that shows how to make an executable with Thor. And the main idea is that you should call your Thor command start method, it will show you the main menu. Okay, so now we know that Kamal uses Thor, and we know also that Kamal has the main menu of the CLI application defined in Kamal CLI main class. Now we can open our shell, and not a shell but terminal, and let's try to use Kamal without any arguments. Here, this is the main menu for the CLI interface, and it's defined in this class. Okay, besides main commands, there are also subcommands, and you see you can call Kamal app. Let's try to do this, for example, and see what is going on. Yeah, Kamal app includes subcommands, and they are defined inside of a upper B file here. So now we know how commands and subcommands are organized, but we still don't know how commands work. So this is the next point. Let's take a look at Kamal deploy command. You use it every time when you deploy the new version of your code base to your servers. So Kamal deploy invokes different Kamal commands, subcommands inside of it. Like here, we log into the registry, then we pull the image, then we deliver the image, we boot traffic, we perform health check, and other commands. And all these commands, as we already know, are defined inside of these classes located in lib Kamal CLI. Cool, but where is the actual code? What is going on when we try to log into the registry? Let's find out how it works. So we should open registry.rb file, and this is where a login command is defined. And you see, we invoke the main idea here is that first of all locally, and then on Kamal hosts, we invoke we use constant that is called Kamal, and we invoke registry login methods on it, and we also use Kamal host methods. So what is this constant Kamal? And to understand it, we should go to the file that defines Kamal CLI module. It's located on a top level of the code base in CLI.rb file. And here you see that besides defining Kamal CLI and some custom error classes, we also define Kamal commander command. Not define, but instantiate Kamal commander command. And instantiate the constant that is called Kamal. So now let's open commander.rb, because again, with all Ruby conventions, commander class should be located in commander.rb file. And this is where the actual Kamal logic is defined. So Kamal commander is a class that defines all your abilities, all commands that Kamal can perform on locally and on remote servers. So now we can see what we can do here. So besides defining some besides defining config, besides defining some methods that are used to configure hosts, roles, and other things, there are also methods that define an actual commands. And as you remember, we try to understand how Kamal registry command works. So here you see that we call registry method on Kamal. Let's go to commander and find registry method. And as you may see, it instantiates new instance of Kamal commands registry. So what is Kamal commands registry? Let's open commands folder and take a look at registry RB file here. Okay, and this is where the actual work with Docker is defined. So when we call Kamal registry login, what is going on? We try to execute command with docker login, and then we pass different parameters like server, username, and password to it. And this command is executed either on local or remote hosts. So if you want to customize the logic of each command, you should go to commands folder and find suitable file for your command. Or maybe you not just want to customize it, but you want to get to know how it works. So you should find a file that defines this command, and then you will be able to understand what is going on when you call Kamal registry login. Or if you want to understand what is going on when you want to run a health check, you can go to healthcheck.rb and find run method that defines the command that is used for health check. Okay, let's go back to Commander. So what else interesting can be found here? Kamal configuration. So besides CLI commands that we already know in CLI folder and commands that are actually performed on the hosts in commands folder, there is a configuration folder and configuration RB class, configuration RB file that defines configuration class. So what is Kamal configuration? Kamal configuration is a class that handles that is used to read your YAML files like deploy YAML and destination files, combine them, and provide configuration for your infrastructure. It's pretty easy to understand what is going on here. It just reads the file, combines both main configuration file and destination file, and then instantiate new instance from this combined configuration. Okay, what is inside configuration folder? Inside of configuration folder, there are specific classes that are used to configure some complex logic for configuration parts. Like there is a special class for accessories configuration, yes, because accessories in Kamal may become rather complex, and this logic has been extracted to this special class for accessories. The same is with builder, and yeah, builder has been created by me when I created image caching for Kamal. The same goes to SSH configuration and SSH kit configuration and others. So let's go back to configuration RB and take a look at it once again. So besides this is just a Ruby class, a plain old Ruby class, you can see that it requires some dependencies on the top of the file. And one of them is ActiveSupport. So I usually not try to avoid using ActiveSupport in my Ruby gems when in Ruby gems that I create. Why? Because usually they can be used in different versions of Rails, and in this case I should make sure that it works with different versions of ActiveSupport. And usually I try to create some extensions by myself in my own code. But here is another approach used, and I would say that it's okay for Kamal. It's totally fine to be dependent from an ActiveSupport, because Kamal is not required to be in your Rails application gem file, in your Rails application dependencies. You can use it separately, and even if we will go to gemspec file and we will find out, we can see that Kamal depends from ActiveSupport higher than 7.0. It doesn't mean that Kamal can be used only with Rails 7 applications. Kamal can be used with any Rails application, and the only dependency for an application is an existence of a Docker file. Okay, but since Kamal requires some ActiveSupport dependencies, let me show you what ActiveSupport can do and why they are required here. So let's start with ordered options. And to be honest, I didn't know about this class anything before I started to work with Kamal. And it provides you an ability to instantiate a hash that will have a direct access to the keys and values. So instead of getting value by the key, in this case by the key called boy, we can call boy method on an instance of a hash, and it will return the value. If the value doesn't exist, like here, it will return nil. So it's a hash, but with direct access to not direct, but with reader and writer access to the values. Okay, what's next? The next is core extensions string inquiry module, and let's go to core extensions and try to find inquiry. And inquiry, what it does, it extends a string with a method that is called inquiry, and on an instance of inquiry you can call any method, and if it will look like your string, it will return true. In other case, it will return false. Useful? Yeah, maybe it's useful. I'm not sure. I don't remember where it is used here. Let's try to find where inquiry is used, and I will show you what I wanted to say. So yeah, in builder. In builder, each builder in Kamal has its own name, and name is defined from a builder class name. So in this case, let's find some builder like native builder. Yeah, native builder is defined in Kamal Commons builder native class. So for its name, what will be used, we will remove Kamal Commons builder prefix, so only native will exist. Then we underscore this string and call inquiry, and inquiry actually returns a string object that performs like a string, but also it may respond to methods like native or any other method. And here you can see that yeah, probably these methods like multi-arc, cached, remote, these methods are called on an instance of inquiry. Useful? Yeah, I love it. I love it because it allows you to define easy to understand things like Rails environment. Rails environment also uses production when you call Rails environment dot Rails env dot production. It, as far as I remember, it uses this inquiry class instance. Okay, not inquiry, sorry, but string inquirer class instance. So yeah, it's rather useful. And again, in the tools like Kamal, when this tool is not required to be in your application gem file, it's totally fine to use ActiveSupport and all methods and extensions that it provides, because it just makes Ruby look better and your code look more readable. The same goes with delegation, like we require delegation, module delegation here, and here we can use on line 9 and 10, we can use delegate method. Okay, what I can say about the code style. So first of all, Kamal sources are extremely easy to read. I can say that anybody who knows Ruby syntax will be able to understand what is going on each part of the library. It's very easy to read, it's very easy to understand, and there are no complex dependencies between inside the code, so you don't need to keep in mind all these things. It's very straightforward. You will understand, believe me, you will understand everything inside of it. At the same time, it follows code conventions and code styles that is typical for 37 signals code bases. I can say it because, as you probably know, or maybe you not know, Basecamp 37 signals released Campfire project, and I purchased it on once servers, and I have now Campfire sources, and even Rails projects from 37 signals look very similar to what, code style of Rails projects look very similar to what we see in Kamal. So what does it mean? First of all, private methods and classes are defined with 2 additional spaces like here. And yeah, usually in Ruby, you will see something like this. But no, in 37 signals, they use this notation. And it's, again, it looks good. I don't think that Robocop loves this, but if you will disable all cops that are used for, not all, but some cops that are used for style, this code will pass Robocop check. If we're already talking about Robocop, you will not find Robocop configuration in Kamal. Why? Because David says that this library is too small. I don't agree with it, but again, I tried to add Robocop configuration to Kamal about a year ago, and David says that no, we don't need Robocop here. It adds additional complexity, and it's okay if somebody will not follow our conventions from the first iteration of pull request. We will ask him to do some change, to do required changes in the comments. And yeah, sometimes it happens that comments on a GitHub of Kamal, in the repository of Kamal on GitHub, Kamal team asks you to change tabulation or to replace single quote string with double quote strings, because they use double quote everywhere, even when it's just a string without without any evaluation. But as I said, the code base looks very, very good and very easy to understand. So I think that's all. If you have any specific questions, if you have any specific issues with Kamal, or you don't know how to implement, or you have an idea that you want to implement, please ask me in comments under this video. Okay, since you're still watching this video, you already know much about Kamal. Now it's perfect time to tell you about myself. So I'm Igor, a software engineer with almost 20 years of experience, and for the last 15 years I work a lot with Ruby. I love this language, I love Ruby community, and I help with different open source projects when I have spare time. And I contributed to Kamal, Ruby on Rails, PG Party, Noticed, and several others well-known and not so well-known Ruby gems and libraries. I call myself an occasional open source contributor because I don't have any personal big open source project now. I had it before, but now not. But I really enjoy opening the new code bases, getting to know it, helping with GitHub issues, and receiving and giving code reviews. Open source participation is one of my internal fuel things. So as a CTO of software development company JetRockets, I engage others to participate in open source too. I think that this is an essential part of professional growth. Several times I asked myself, how could I help open source community besides actual writing the code. I have a personal technical blog, and there is a link to it in the description of the video. And before starting my personal blog, I write on JetRocket's blog, and I published several rather successful articles, and I hope that they were helpful. I spoke at several Ruby and not only Ruby technical conferences and workshops and meetups, but I was curious how to get a bigger audience. And the very obvious way is to try to write a book. Maybe find some theme not so big and try to explain it in depth. And maybe I will do it at some point. However, since I love speaking more than writing, I decided that YouTube channel would be a perfect way to share my knowledge. And the first question when you start or even think about a YouTube channel is, of course, what themes would you like to cover? And there are a lot of programming-related channels, and most of them are like guides, like how to use this or that library, or how to create blog with Ruby on Rails in 15 minutes. And I love them, and I watch also some of these channels, but I didn't want to do the same thing because just why? If there are already a lot of this content, why should I try to do the same one? Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but at least for now I think that better to support these authors and engage them to do their job instead of starting a new channel that will be the same. But a month ago, I was on a campfire code walkthrough organized by 37 Signals, and I said to myself, this is what I should do. I should also try to do code walkthrough for popular or not popular Ruby libraries, Ruby gems, because it's awesome. I can share my knowledge. I can help different open source projects by opening their code base to a bigger audience. And it was a brilliant and very simple idea. I decided to start with Kamal because I know it well. I participated in, I contributed a lot to Kamal last year and this year too. It's relatively small, but even with all this, it was very tough to record this video. So maybe for the next episodes, I will try to invite other open source developers, codebase owners, or contributors to help me. So if you have any suggestions who should be in the next episode on this channel, please leave your suggestions and comments. Thank you. I hope this video was useful. See you next time. Please subscribe and click like button.